Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special bonus episode of Quickies with Angela and Katie.
I'm Angela Dawn of Authentic Heart Coaching. I help individuals and couples rewrite their sexual story.
And I'm Katie Wilkinson of Katie Coaches. I help women and their partners create a better world through women's pleasure.
So this month, we've already dropped our main episode on testicle massage for No Nut November, but we're here today with a bonus because Katie brought up something I didn't even know about until recently.
Yes. So, this is a topic I've been wanting to cover for a while. Today, we are talking about gooning.
And when Katie first said that word, I was like, what the hell is that? Like, it sounded ridiculous. But once we got into it, wow, this is way more than internet slang. It's actually one of the most powerful, primal, and misunderstood erotic states out there.
Exactly. When I first came across this term, I couldn't understand why there seemed to be so much shame around it. So, gooning is essentially when a man is entering an erotic trance state by masturbating for hours without ejaculating. He's edging. So, he's totally in his body, his brain goes quiet, and he just surrenders to really great sensations that he's feeling, which sounds great, right? Spoiler alert, this is very tantric at its core, meaning that with a few simple adjustments, this practice can actually be an advanced sexual training method. It's just become so taboo from men shaming other men for doing it, which I think is dumb. And that's why I insisted we do an episode about it.
Right. It's like, oh, you're a guy who's so turned on you can't think straight. But instead of that being like cool or sexy and skillful, it like gets framed as like pathetic. And I just want to say this now, if you've ever experienced that kind of trancy, overwhelmed pleasure, you are not broken. You were or are on the edge of something really powerful.
Exactly. So, in this episode, we're going to unpack what gooning really is, why it gets such a bad rap. Thank you, toxic masculinity, and how you can use erotic surrender as a path to deeper pleasure, better stamina, and even emotional healing.
Yeah, because the truth is, the best sex doesn't happen in your head. It happens when you are so in your body, so in the moment that everything else just falls away.
So, whether you've never heard of gooning, or maybe you've secretly tried it and felt weird about it, or felt judged for it, you are in the right place. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so first we have to define what we're actually talking about because the word gooning sounds like, let's face it, kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't prefer the name. So apparently, this came out of porn forums, especially fetish and humiliation kink corners of the internet. So the vibe around it is already deliberately laced with masculinity shame and mockery. But if you strip all that away, gooning is just a name for a very real erotic mental state that a lot of men enter, whether they call it that or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically when a man is edging. So staying in a very high arousal state without climaxing. And then his brain starts to get foggy and his body gets hypersensitive and he drops into this almost meditative trance. Does that sound familiar to anyone?
Honestly, it's kind of brilliant. You've got edging, which is keeping that sexual energy building and building without release. And then you've got the flow state where the mind is quiet and you lose your sense of time. And it's also proven to boost mental health. And then you've got erotic trance where your body starts reacting and feeling and moaning and twitching because you're letting the arousal wash over you so completely that you're not inhibiting yourself. You're just enjoying it in this raw, primal state.
I mean, you had me at twitching, Katie. Like, it sounds like a good damn time. And here's the thing. This is not some weird male malfunction. It's something that a lot of tantric and Taoist traditions have taught for centuries, except they use different language for it.
Exactly. They call it erotic meditation or non-ejaculatory cultivation or even multi-orgasmic training. But the mechanics are still the same. You stay with the sensation, you breathe through it, you let it build. The nervous system gets rewired, the pleasure deepens, the man gains way more stamina and control over his body in this process. It's a phenomenal practice for male sexual mastery.
It's kind of hilarious and also sad that this got turned into something shameful. Like, oh, he's a gooner, as if being totally absorbed in your own pleasure is some kind of bad thing.
Right? Like, God forbid a man actually enjoy himself in his body. But when you really look at it, this is actually advanced nervous system work because staying in the place where you're not tipping over into ejaculation, you're just building up with that pleasure, that takes major body awareness and breath control. That's not easy to do.
So if you've ever been there or close to it, like where you're just sort of floating in sensation and your thoughts are gone and your body's humming, that's not weird. That's a kind of sexual mastery and it's worth exploring more. Um, so now that we've established what gooning is in its pure form and how it's really kind of a powerful erotic state, let's talk about why there's so much shame around it.
Yes. Why is something that's so sensual, so deep, and honestly sounds so hot? Why is this being treated like a joke? Well, it's mostly because of how the state got framed in certain corners of the internet. It's just men shaming other men for doing slash being something that they consider unmanly.
Right, right. It's not that gooning itself is unhealthy, it's that it showed up in forums where guys were edging to porn for hours and kind of zoning out and sometimes losing track of time. And instead of seeing that as potentially an advanced skill or as an erotic trance or a state of flow, it became this thing that men like mocked other men for.
It's that classic toxic masculinity response of, oh, if you're not in control, if you're not performing, if you're just letting your body make sounds and move and just be, then you're seen as pathetic by some other men. Even though, ironically, what you're doing is actually surrendering to pleasure, which is exactly what leads to better sex and deeper connection with partners.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty backwards. Our culture tends to say real men are in charge, they're composed, they don't lose themselves. But is not the whole point of sex to lose yourself? Like losing yourself in a really intentional way? I think so.
Exactly. And here's the real kicker. Women love when men can do this. We want lovers who are present, who can feel, who aren't just focused on getting off and especially getting off quickly. We want lovers who can stay with us, who can slow things down, who can really build the arousal, build the fire with us. And it takes practice to build up to that kind of stamina and that presence in your own body. I mean, shit, what if the men making fun of it are just jealous that they don't have that skill yet? Like they don't even realize this is something that's
Hmm.
more advanced.
Exactly. Right. So what gets called gooning is often a man training his nervous system to hold more sensation, which, helps you enjoy more without rushing to ejaculation.
It's
And that
sex
is
training.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I think men deserve to reclaim that from the shame pile.
Amen. And we'll get into the how in just a bit, but for now, if you've ever felt embarrassed about going into a trancy, needy, so-called erotic state, like just know that this isn't a failure of masculinity. It's actually the beginning of masculine mastery.
Hmm.
So let's talk about how gooning is basically just Tantra in disguise. It's Tantra with a really shitty rebrand.
Yeah, and we're going to get into a piece of the practice that is definitely not tantric. But for the most part, I agree with you, Katie. And, if I give you a checklist and I said edging without climax, breath awareness, staying present in your body, surrendering to pleasure, you'd be like, oh, yeah, you're describing tantric practice.
And that's exactly what I did think when I was researching gooning. That's exactly why I texted you, Angela, at like 3 a.m. from my indoor trampoline one night, just being like, Angela, we need to do an episode on gooning. It's secretly tantric. Why is nobody talking about how healthy this could be with just a couple of small tweaks?
Exactly, exactly. I'm stoked to get into those small tweaks, right? Because the word is gooning and it came from porn culture. And so now it's suddenly something to laugh at, right?
It's so frustrating. I am very frustrated by this because looking at the mechanics, nervous system is learning to hold arousal without releasing. The body starts to open up to full body pleasure, and instead of rushing to finish, the man is just feeling everything. Why is everybody
Yeah.
not already doing that?
Yeah, the feeling everything is the key, right? In so many traditional sexual frameworks, especially for men, it's all about control. It's about you are doing something to someone, right? Like you're being hard, you're staying hard, you're performing, you're coming at the right time, you're not being emotional. But Tantra really flips that and says, let go and like let it move through you.
Right, and gooning is that. It's just in modern, really unfortunate packaging. letting your mind go clear, your body goes animal, your sensations take over. Like you just get to get lost in the moment. And that's so sexy.
And it also can be very healing, especially for men who were taught that the only valid version of sexuality is performance. So when you let yourself not perform, when you let yourself feel instead, you actually open the door to way more pleasure.
Big time. So if you're listening to this and thinking, sounds interesting, please let this be your permission slip.
Writing the permission slip right now, Katie.
Oh, yeah. Ready for it. So if you're wondering how to explore gooning in a way that's actually good for you and for your relationships, let's talk about that.
So, first of all, this is something you can absolutely practice solo, and it can become part of your partnered sex too. Whether you're alone or with someone, the foundation is the same: slowness, presence, and surrender.
You'll start with edging. That means you're bringing yourself close to orgasm, letting yourself hover right near the edge of climax, but you're not going over. So every time you get close, you're going to pause, you're going to dial things back a bit, dial back the intensity, and then rebuild back up slowly. You just keep repeating that process.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be remembering to breathe, slowing down, just being there, noticing the sensations very deliberately. You're letting the waves roll over you, and you are not rushing. You
Mm-hmm.
also might want to ensure that you're doing this at a time where you could spend hours doing it if you wanted to for the fuller experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you're doing is you're training your nervous system to be able to hold more pleasure, to feel more instead of just rushing to the end, like rushing to the ejaculation. And yeah, you might look like glazed eyes and moaning and rocking your hips or even losing track of time. And that's not a problem. That's the whole point.
So, something important to talk about here too is the porn element, because gooning has mostly been talked about in online spaces where porn is a part of the practice, which is not
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
inherently bad, but it is worth asking, is porn supporting your embodiment or is it distracting from it? Because I want to wager that for most men, it's probably distracting.
Right. And this is the part about the practice of gooning, if we want to call it that, that I have a problem with, right? So from a tantric or somatic lens, somatic just meaning of the body, we always ask, does this deepen your connection to your body? Does this deepen your connection to your breath? Does this deepen your connection to your energy? Or is it taking you out of the body and up into your head?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the question.
Porn can be way too disconnecting in that way. So,
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
you're wanting to explore gooning as an intentional practice where you're not just zoning out, you're not using it to numb yourself, one way you can do that, if you are used to using porn, you want to stop that scrolling, maybe pick one image, or better yet, just draw a fantasy in your mind so you're not being bombarded with all of this really distracting sensation or like visual
Imagery,
distraction there.
imagery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
So, in the highest expression of this, if we are trying to make gooning deliberately more tantric, the focus becomes your own body instead, not
Mhm.
any particular mental image, not the external visual. It's just that sensation, the breath, the
Yes.
build, the energy moving through you. That's your focus.
Mhm. Yeah, just sensation. That's the shift. From stimulation, as it were, including visual stimulation to embodiment, right? You're not chasing the arousal, you're cultivating it. Like it's like a fire you're tending to within your own body.
So, gooning becomes a form of erotic meditation where it's not about performance, it's not about distraction, it's not about shaming yourself. It's that erotic presence within you that you're cultivating.
And I also want to say if you're partnered, this is something you can potentially share. Like I mentioned in the last episode, I massage my partner's testicles, right? It's something I teach in my couples massage workshops. And there's something really beautiful about creating a space where your partner feels safe enough to go fully into pleasure without having to perform. And a sort of gooning can be part of that.
Right, it's about that receiving. So whether
Mm-hmm.
you're exploring this solo or with someone you love, just remember it's not about doing it right. It's about focusing on that practice of letting yourself feel, letting go of the pressure to control, letting go of the pressure to perform, just being in your own body exactly the way that you are.
And I mean, that's what makes someone a good lover. It's not any specific technique, it's presence. It's just really being present in the moment.
Yeah. So listen, if you've ever felt ashamed of how much you feel or how much you want or how deeply you can get lost in sensation, we're here to say officially you are not broken. You
Nope.
actually may be more masterful in sex skills than you realize.
Right. I mean, this is what we want from our men, like to be there, present in the moment, tuned into their sensations, unafraid to surrender to pleasure. So, whether you're practicing solo or with a partner, this is a doorway to step into deeper sex, deeper stamina, deeper connection. This is actually the kind of work I do with men. I have a whole program for men called Gateway to Sexual Mastery. And in those sessions in my private men's work, we can explore your relationship to arousal and pleasure and to your body. And I give you homework that's a little bit like Gooning. And I can help you, we rewrite the sexual story from the inside out, right? Because that's a big part of it. But there's also homework that is a lot like what Katie and I are talking about in this episode. So you can learn more and book a call with me at the link in the show notes.
And for couples, you already know that we love to talk about testicle massage, breast massage, all the sensual body goodness. So if you're curious about taking your partnered sex to the next level, check out our on-demand class called Pussy Whispering. It's for men who want to better understand women's bodies and for women who want to feel safer letting go and melting in intimacy.
And I mentioned it first in the last episode. Super exciting. Early next year, my first book, Gateway to Sexual Mastery for Men. It is so packed with insights, tools, and practices for men who are ready to really like rise up and claim their sexual power with presence and not performance. So, more on that soon. If you want to be first to hear about the book coming out, get on my mailing list. Go to AuthenticHeartCoach.com and sign up for my A list. That way you'll hear about the book first. And if you're already dreaming about growing as a couple, definitely consider joining me this coming March for Primal Love. That's my next in-person couples retreat. It's everything you want from your vacation and your relationship.
All right, lovers, whether you're enjoying solo time tonight or edging your way towards deeper intimacy, we are so glad to be on this journey with you. And we'll see you next time on Quickies with Angela and Kaity.